Ciao, I'm Mario, a Swiss car guy on YouTube, and this is my 2008 Lexus LS 600H, a car that I haven't driven since about 3 weeks ago. And the reason for that is I just returned from the holidays in Italy back then in the car, and I didn't want to drive the car because it is broken. It broke on the way home. And now you might ask, what did break on your Lexus, these super reliable cars? Something very annoying. Because you see, Lexus LSs have always historically had tilting and telescoping steering columns. So every time you turn on the car, the steering wheel comes down and out. And I stopped for fuel on my way back from Italy, and then I turned on the car and the steering wheel didn't come out to greet me, and I was confused. At first I thought the car had not even turned on, but it had. Turns out the steering wheel doesn't telescope anymore, so it stays in the most inwards position, which means I now have to get the seat closer in order to drive it, and I don't like it. It's actually not that uncomfortable, but I don't like it. I want the car to work, so I'm going to have to diagnose what it is. I think it's either the motor that's defective or the end stop, if that's a separate relay, because whenever I use the button, it makes the sound like when it had hit the end stop. So I guess it's one of those. And since I didn't want to take the steering column apart, only to diagnose the car and then find out what the problem is and leave it apart until I have the replacement, I got this. I bought an entire steering column. This should give me all the spare parts I need. I reckon this is one of the motors and this is the other motor. Don't ask me which one is which. But I bought this entire steering column off eBay in the UK, including shipping, including customs and tariffs and everything. This cost me around 60 Swiss francs, which is, about 75 US dollars or about 68 euros or something like that. So it was very cheap. So whatever part I need, I should have it. Even though this steering column probably is just as old as mine, I at least assume that it works. So I should be able to swap pieces over, and therefore me being able to just swap the parts, replace it, and close everything back up. So let's see if I can fix this steering column, or my telescoping steering column. All right, I will start by removing the steering wheel. Which technically isn't necessary because you can just turn it around and then you should be able to access the 2 screws back here that hold the steering column cover on. But I'm going to replace the steering wheel anyway because my old steering wheel is back from the upholstery guy, so this is going to get out. So I have to remove this thing here. So the steering wheel is gone, it's away. And now I have access to these 2 screws. These 2 screws hold on the lower part of the cowling here. I wonder if I have to remove this part. I shall hope not. So I need a screwdriver. Oh. Okay, the 2 screws are out so far. Now I should be able to remove this lower part. Does this come apart, I wonder? Because I don't see everything coming apart, because this is most likely clipped together in some fashion. Either like, if this screws it on, okay, it must be clipped on like this then. It's about 2 hours later. I cut out a lot of me swearing and trying to figure it out. I got the whole lower cladding of the steering column off, and then I realized that the motor I need to get to is back here. So I have to take this whole piece out, which is, except for one screw behind the handbrake or the parking brake, you just can push it out. But I couldn't undo this little cable tie, so it's just hanging there. But yeah, I took the original motor out, which is a very fiddly job with these 4 screws, and now I put this here in the replacement motor, and I want to just check whether it does anything, because the old motor, it wouldn't do anything. It would just click, click, and do nothing. Now I want to see whether this does something. Oh, it moves. It moves. It moves. It's alive. So this works. Oh, no. Parking brake not available. Yeah, of course, there is no parking brake. Okay, the motor works, which means I now can install it, which is very, very fiddly, because I need to put in the 3 screws from the side. But at least that's a result. It works. I wonder if I have to get it all the way back, though. Let me try it. Oh. This goes in like this, so it should be okay. Stop annoying me, car. And yes, I put the battery back in because I needed to test it. I took the battery out because of airbag and stuff, and I will disconnect the battery again once I have everything back together and I need to put the steering wheel on. But for the time being, I leave it connected so I can then test out whether it works. And then I can extend the steering wheel, which makes it easier to put the cladding back on, but it will retract automatically once I turn off the car, unless I disconnect the battery while the car is on, which is not the greatest idea, maybe, I don't know. But I could also get the tech stream and program the auto tilt telescope function out, but that seems like too much work. So yeah, here's actually also an extra wire that my car has, more than one apparently. This is where they tapped into the light circuit to connect the daytime running lights, because this car, when I bought it, had some aftermarket daytime running lights that I then took out, but there's still some remnants of cable, but this will stay, it doesn't bother me too much. But now let's see whether I can get the motor back in place and I can ultimately screw it on, because this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Oh my god, it's in. Okay, I tightened them all. Now I want to check again whether it now extends or not. Oh fuck, it doesn't extend. Now that it's in, it doesn't do anything. Are you kidding me? Now it just clicks and does nothing, like the old one. I should have tested the old one out of the car as well. It's a couple of days later. The steering column is back together. If you look at here, you see the steering wheel is back in place, all the cladding is back on. I reinstalled everything, but I actually did not fix the problem. And I have to show you on my bench why. Welcome to my makeshift bench, which is just a pallet on my pallet stacker here, but it's very convenient to have. Anyway, this is a steering column. This is the replacement steering column I bought, where I thought I'd just swap over the motor and fix all the problems. But I tested this thing, and this motor works. The original motor works as well. And the problem is somewhere else. If you see, I'll move it around a bit. Here, this is actually the long screw that turns and extends the shaft. Down here, this is where the steering wheel is attached, and up here it's where it goes into the car's steering. So here you have the motor for the tilt, which turns this screw, then by going in and out, this tilts in and out, and this one is for the telescope, which basically extends the whole steering column here by loosening or tightening this screw. And this is done by this motor, which I will now turn around. This motor spins this little sprocket thing, and I'll turn it out. It's, you see, a screw, because this is a worm gear. This goes into a little gear, and by turning this, it turns the gear, and turning the gear makes this thing here turn and then extend or retract the steering wheel. Usually you have the control box, which is right here. I've taken it out with, it's fastened with 2 screws. By taking it out, you can access, oh, it's actually 1 screw. One is still in place. This little control box, which goes here and actually seals the back of the gear, because now you can see the gear back here, I hope. I will maybe come a bit closer. This is the gear that's driven by the screw from the motor here. And this usually sits on top like this and closes it up, because this is full of grease. Apparently very expensive Molykote grease. But this is it. And now if I take a little ratchet, I might be able to ratchet this. If we turn the little nut here, we should see the steering column move. You see? This is how it works. It's now extending. And this is basically what I did in the car. So because I didn't want to take out the whole steering column, I crawled under the car in the footwell and undid this thing here, which was quite difficult. Then I went behind it with a socket and extended the steering wheel to the most extended position, the one I usually drive, and then I closed everything back up. I put the motor back on, and of course the control box, but I didn't hook the motor up because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't move anyway, so I didn't hook it up. But now you might wonder, what is the actual problem? And the problem is the little gear inside here, which I'm now trying to get out. Can get the gear out possibly. Yes. So the gear is out. Oh yeah. Okay. If you can see this is the way it should be, like straight, like these diagonal, nice little veins or stuff. And this is all caked in and broken and chiseled off. So this gear is broken. So my quest is to find this little gear, ideally in metal and not in plastic. So I may have to 3D model it myself and have it sintered by somebody. But so far in my car, I have extended the steering column manually to the max. I've put everything back together, the motor and the gear, so the steering column is also held on by the gear and the screw drive, so the worm gear, it's all locked in. And then I simply didn't hook up the connector for the motor, so that it doesn't matter, so that it will never work. You will never try to extend or do anything. I actually even tried replacing the control box. I put this in my car and took the other one out to check out whether maybe I had a problem with the control box, the relays inside, but no, it's definitely the gear that's chewed up, and actually it's chewed up even on this replacement steering column that I bought. But again, this steering column cost me only 60 francs, and I think it was very helpful for me to understand how it works, what the components are, and to be able to undo it under the car without having to take the whole thing out. But this is it from the bench. So another bulge on my Lexus. But the steering wheel is now in a comfortable position for me. As long as nobody short ever drives the car, it shouldn't be a problem. But my goal is still to fix the problem by getting a proper replacement gear for the worm gear, ideally made of sintered metal. But this will take some time, and for the time being, this works for me. What do you think about this botched repair? Do you have any advice? Do you know where I could get a gear for, so that I don't have to have it made myself? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one having this problem. Reading the forums, I think quite a few Lexus owners, not just LS600Hs, have this problem. So nobody has made a replacement gear. I mean, I know a metal gear will be metal on metal. It will make more noise, but it will last most likely. It's like the gears I replaced in the seat that I got for free. They are also better quality, they are new, they will never break. But yeah, anyway, this is something I have to do in the future. For the time being, this is the end of the video. Follow me on Instagram at SwissCarGuyMario if you want to see very occasional posts, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more about the car, more about me, more about God knows what. And anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.